Hello, good morning, and a very welcome to another special day. I love today so much. Today is another special day in our series. We You have to stay locked with us. Now, we have been able to look at a lot of things over the time in our series. We have been able to look at HTML, CSS, JavaScript. We have also been able to look at in the last class how to use AI to do the front end of websites. Like I told you, we're going to be releasing our prompt pack very soon, and I know you don't want to miss it. By next week, it's going to be available for everyone. Now, now today we are going to now be looking at our entry another section, another different module of our class. Okay. We're going to be looking at understanding the principle of user interface and user experience design. That's what we're going to be. Honestly, this class is not a class that you want to miss a single part of. No, you don't want to miss any part. Because the truth is, when you understand how you visit some websites and the design alone, the way the site looks on mobile apps, you use some apps, the way they look and everything makes you want to always come back to it again. You visit some sites and the ambience of the site and everything makes you want to always come back again to that very site. Now we're going to be looking at a different pattern. We're now going to be looking at what are the principles that these guys apply that makes it possible that when you visit these kind of platforms, you love it so much and you want to be there once again. We're going to be looking at that. And honestly, you don't want to miss a single part of this class. This is the first section, and honestly, you do not want to miss any. Join me. It's right. I remain your favorite instructor, Okolo Chukwu, who is the ICT, senior ICT instructor. And I'm going to be taking you on this journey together. For those who are joining us for the first time, this is Prince Wu Tech Mastery, where we deal with everything like programming, software engineering, software development, UI, UX, back end, front end, everything you want to know about ICT. We have them right here on this channel. Stay tuned. You don't want to miss this. So today, the first topic we're going to look at is introduction to user interface design. Now, you need to understand that the front end of every software, whether be it a website, be it a mobile app, be it a desktop application, the front end of every site is made up of two particular principles, and that is the user interface and the user experience. The user interface is concerned about the look, how your website looks. Okay. The user interface is concerned with the look of your website. How does your website actually look? How inviting is your site to users or mobile app? The look of your application, that is what user interface is concerned. How your buttons are placed, etc. How your buttons are placed, the choice of colors you choose to use. All these are pertaining to user interface. Why user experience, on the other hand, is talking about something totally different. It's talking about how much satisfaction does the end user get when they use your application or they use your product. How much satisfaction they get. That is exactly what user experience does. And that is what user experience is concerned about. Now, you can have a very beautiful application, but if your users are unable to properly use the application, but if your end users are unable to properly make use of that particular application, then you know that that application does not have, it has a good user interface because it's beautiful, but has a very bad user experience. Because when users come, maybe they find it difficult to get to the options that they need to get to. They tap on buttons don't respond as quickly as they should. They don't get reactions from the application. All of this is concerned about the user experience, the satisfaction that the user gains when they use your application. Now, the first part is introduction to, we say, theory first conceptual approach. User interface design can be defined as the architectural discipline of building interfaces in software or computerized devices with a focus on looks, interaction, and structural style. In software engineering, the UI represents the direct boundary between human intent and machine what? Execution. It is not merely aesthetic, it is a deliberate construction of interactive digital real estate to facilitate task completion intuitively. Yeah, what are we trying to say here? Yeah, user interface basically stands between your software. It's what is the bridge between the human, what the person wants to achieve, that's the human intent on your application, and how your machine actually executes that. How you make these options available to the person. This is what user interface is majorly concerned about. So it's in software, the UI represents the direct boundary between human intent, that is what the user wants to do, and machine execution, what the machine actually ends up doing. That's what user is. It is not just about beautification. As I would say, it is not merely aesthetic, but it is a deliberate construction of interactive digital real estate. That means you intentionally work on your UI to make it look. You intentionally work on your user interface to make it what? Look good. That is exactly what UI is concerned about. Now, what are the elements of a good of user interface design? What are the things that we consider that are part of user interface design that we must take note of? A robust UI is built from fundamental interactive and informational components. Yes, there are certain components that make up a standard user interface. Now, I've already established the fact that user interface design is the architectural discipline of building interfaces, that is creating a way by which human beings can make use of and interact with your software very easily and making it look. That is exactly what user interface is. But now we're not saying what are the principles, what are some of the elements, what are those things that make up user interface design. Now let's look at some of look at them. We say input controls. Now under input control, we're talking of anything that allows the user to enter data into your software. Okay, anything that allows the user to enter data into your software. And we say buttons, text field, check boxes, radio buttons, and drop down lists allow users to enter data. So you input control is concerned is the first element that makes up user interface design, and is concerned with every element in your user interface that allows the end user to be able to pass data into your application. That is input what controls. Then we have navigational components. Navigational component is concerned. Why input control is about how a user can enter data into your software or into your application. Navigation component is talking about how a user can move from point A to point B in your software. That's what navigational components are. How a user moves from point A to point B to point C in your application, how they navigate, how they move around your very particular application. And under navigation component, we have things like breadcrumbs, sliders, search fields, pagination, and tags, ensuring spatial awareness within what? An application. These are the different ways users can move from one place to another in your application. Now we now have the third is what? Informational components. Informational component is talking about things that give the user feedback. Now input control is concerned with how a user enters data into your application. Navigation component is talking about how users move from one point in your application to the next point. And then information component is talking about how you give the user feedback on their interactions with your app. And examples on things under informational components that we can look at are tooltips. Is a good example of tooltips when you put your mouse over a particular option and it tells you, and your mouse and you see a little drop down. I don't know if I can find any site that does that kind of a thing. That would be really difficult right now. But you put your mouse over an option and it can tell you that you will see a small, something like a small tip that tells you what this particular option does. Although this is more concerned with user experience than user interface, but it's also a part of user interface design. That's tooltips. Icons. Now, using the right icons, information components, talking of icons, is also very important because now we're getting to a level whereby applications UI depends so much on icons. You can see many applications of today don't make use of text that much. I can look at this beautiful website here, Jumia. It's a very popular Nigerian website, and you can see that you can see all of this. These are icons, and you need to use the right icons that users are already used to that does a particular thing. You can see icons all over the place here. You can see icons. You can see various icons all across here. So icons are also important informational components. If you use the wrong icon to represent a specific action, the user will click that icon thinking it does a particular thing and it ends up doing a different thing. End of the day, you have given your user a bad user experience and also a bad user interface because what you say that icon does is not what it does. That is using that's what we call misinformation, whereby you use a wrong icon to represent a particular action. We also have progress bars, we have notifications, we have message boxes detailing system what status. So information components are concerned with things that you use to give the user feedback. Input controls how you get information from the user. Navigation components, how you move around an application. Information components, how a user gets to understand what they are supposed to do on your application. How you also give a user feedback on your application. You need to understand that Your application must be done with a very good user interface because of the fact that number one, you won't be with the end user when they will be using that your particular application. And you must take note of that. This is very important. You are not going to be with the user. Users are going to use your application as long as you're not doing the application for just yourself or for you and your staff. But users are going to use this application across various spheres. People with various levels of literacy in terms of ICT and technology. So you must do your best to make your website as a mobile app or desktop application or whatever application you are building as simple, as intuitive, and as simple as possible. Then we have containers, acronyms, and structural elements, grouping related contents. Now, why input control is concerned with how you get information from the user, navigation is how you move, how users move around your application. Information component is talking about how you give the user feedback. Containers is talking about how you do various sections of your application for the end user, making it easy for a user to know where they should go to if they are looking for a particular set of options. That is what container. So container is talking about acronyms and structural elements that group related what content. Like if you look at here, this is a very good example. When you click this place, if you, as you can see here, when you click here, you see this drop down, everything that has to do with my profile stands here. You see my logout button, you see the voucher. If I have a voucher, you see wish list, you see inbox, you see orders, you see my account. Everything here is concerned about this. If you click on that help here, the drop down, this is also another example of containers. You can see help center, everything that you need to use and understand how this platform works is provided and made available what here. That is exactly what we are talking about, what containers, how structural elements are used to group your content. Yes, this you must take note of. Now, what are the principles that guide user interface design? And I want you to understand, I want to understand what are the principles that guide user interface design? That what are the guide? What is like the Bible? You know, when we say these are my principles, you are trying to say this is a set of rules and regulations. This is a set of laws. This is a guide that I, as a person, follows whenever I want to achieve this particular task. That's exactly what we are talking about when we're talking about the principles of a particular thing, the guidelines, how we go about achieving a particular task. So, effective UI design is governed by strict architectural principles. Now, what are these principles that guide it? What are the things you, if you want to say that your user interface is okay, your user interface design is beautiful, what are the things you need to take good, okay, for it to be, for you to know that yes, you have done well. Number one, clarity. The interface must visually communicate its purpose without ambiguity. Users should not come to your application and be confused on where to go to. This is number one. This is number one thing that you must know. Users should not come to your application and begin to wonder where to go and look for what. So that's why we say the interface must visually communicate its purpose and its purpose without ambiguity. Users should not land on your application and start thinking of what this does or what that does. You should not confuse end user because why? Users of various levels of literacy should not be confused when they get into your application. You will have a high-tech people come into your platform, especially when you're doing a general platform. People with high level of technical knowledge will come in, people with medium level will come in, people with low level will come in. People without any technical knowledge at all will also come into your platform, especially when you're dealing with websites and mobile apps, which is the current trend of today's world, websites and mobile apps, especially mobile apps. These are the people, different kind of users are going to come. Now, how do these users find, how can they move around? How clear is your app as to what a particular thing does? That is the first principle. So you must be able to tick, for you to say a user interface design is okay, you must be able to say that in terms of clarity, you must tick good. You must tick good in terms of what? Clarity. Then we have consistency. Maintain uniformity in design pattern throughout the application to reduce cognitive load. Consistency, we're trying to say you should not have an application that has, first of all, color riots. There should be no color riots in your application, like having an application that is a mixture of different colors or whereby you have different design patterns. Your applications should be consistent across so that when users, if a user gets used, if your application is inconsistent, because we are human beings, if a user is already used to using your application in a particular way, then goes to that section and it's a different way they have to use your application. It will make you to not have returning users. And if it's a website for search engine optimization, this is very bad for you. If it's a mobile app for reviews, this is also very bad for you. So consistency, maintain uniformity in design patterns throughout. So your application must maintain a uniform design all through. Colors must be the same. Um, the way options are laid out must be layout and colors must be the same across board. Familiarity, utilize universally understood icons and structures. Yes, familiarity, your application should follow standard patterns. Okay, people are already used to this on e-commerce store, this option. Let me open this site now, awesome.com. People are used to this for as an icon for carts when they go into an e-commerce store. You should not come to your own application and use a different icon entirely, maybe a bag instead of a shopping cart. If you do that, you are going to now, people are used to using the cart icon now, but imagine now to tell people that they have added to cart, you decide to use a location icon. Okay, let's say location. You decide to use a location icon. We're saying that because people try to stick to what people are used to, don't come up with your own, don't decide to use a different set of icons than what people are used to. What we're saying, don't help me. Sorry, I caught a cold within the week, and so that's why I'm going through this stress now. Please, I'm so sorry. Yeah, sorry. So now familiarity, you use the normal icons that people are used to, what people are already sure of that they have been using for a while in different cases. Okay. Okay. So let's continue. So we're saying that familiarity. So you have to make use of icons that people are already used to. Don't go ahead inventing your own icons because so people don't have to go through another learning curve. Just don't forget the fact that we live in a very lazy generation. So you don't need to reinvent the curve. Use what people are used to. Efficiency. Allow users to complete tasks with minimum necessary interactions. Yes, you have to make it easy for people to use your app. Your app should be very efficient. That's people should be able to go through your app and be easy to move around your app. Allow you to complete that. You should be able to do things very easily without any unnecessary interaction. Just imagine an app whereby you want to view a picture and you have to pinch, zoom, like pinch before you can see a picture. That kind of application, that will be bad for you. So you must be able to do that. Yeah, then we have forgiveness. Engineer the UI to prevent catastrophic errors, e.g., undo functionality, clear confirmation dialog. So we are saying that you should be able to plan your UI to prevent errors that are going to cause a complete crash to your program. So that's why we say engineer the UI. Just plan for errors. Users must make mistakes. It doesn't matter the number of instructions you have given or whatever. Users are going to surely make mistakes. So because of the fact users will always make mistakes, you must be prepared for those their mistakes. Is that clear? So take note of that. These are the principles that guide user. Number one, clarity. Your application must be clear. It must not be confusing to your users. Consistency. Maintain uniformity across your application. Use the same color scheme, color concept, layout plans in your application. Familiarity. Use what people are used to. Use icons that people are used to and structures that people are used to. Don't try to invent your own. There's a way so that you don't end up giving users another learning curve before they can use your application. Efficiency. Allow users to complete tasks with that. We are trying to say users should find it easy to do whatever they want to do on your application, be it a web application, a desktop application, a mobile app, whatever kind of application it is you are building, users should be able to complete tasks with minimum necessary interaction. And forgiveness, allow for errors. No matter your instruction, always know you are dealing with human beings and errors will surely occur. Now, what are the types of user interface design? I want us to understand that this user interface design depend on the kind of application you're building. You will know the one to apply, but most of the time there are some that we use majorly more than others. The first one is GUI, graphical user interface, visual interactions using windows, icons, menus, e.g., standard web and mobile applications. Yes, most web and mobile applications use this pattern whereby you see that you can see here like this. Okay, let me go to one of the sites I've built. Let's use Kwanzo, for instance now. Use and also the behavior of the interface. Let's continue. And also the behavior of that particular interface. These are the things that we check. They will now ask defining mobile user interface. Now, mobile UI is a hyper-constrained subset of UI design, tailored specifically for smaller screens. Okay. Touch-based interaction and variable environmental conditions. It demands strict prioritization of content, easily tappable, touch targets, minimum 44 by 44 pixel, and optimized performance to account for mobile hardware capability. So mobile UI is not to confuse. It's a subset of user interface design that is concerned with building your applications to work on small screens. So one, the application has to look good on a small screen. After looking good on a small screen, the application also has to be able to use that small screen for a very good, you look good on the small screen. That's one. And it must be interactive for the user in terms of touch. It must touch-based interactions. It must be able to suffice for some of the users' laxity in touch-based interaction. Now, one of the most important things you must understand in user interface is color theory. Color theory in user interface is the mathematical and psychological application of color to drive interaction. Key components include primary, secondary, and tertiary color, the foundational elements of the color wheel. Now, color theory is just talking about the mathematical side. It's talking about the ability to arrange, is what is acceptable for combining colors for various purposes. Now, the first thing to check in color theory is the primary, secondary, and tertiary colors. Primary colors, we know these are naturally occurring colors in our environment. Secondary and tertiary colors are productions of mixtures of multiple colors. And we say the foundational elements of the color wheel contains all the colors you need for your web design. So you must take note of that. Then we have contrast, ensuring readability. Okay, WCAG standards mandates a minimum contrast ratio of 4:5:1 for normal text. So contrast is ensuring that whatever text or whatever it is that is appearing is readable and easy for the user to see. Don't combine colors in such a way that the user can't even see what you are doing. Then color psychology, utilizing colors to signal states. For example, red for errors and destruction, green for success, blue for links and information. So that's why when we're talking in design, when we talked of design model, we spoke about user model, what the user is expecting. Don't go and make your own error messages to be green and then success to be red in your own application. When people are already used to error messages coming in red and success messages coming in green, then you decide to invert it in your own. That gives the user another learning curve, and this could be a very, very bad. It could be very, very bad for your application. Is that okay? Yeah, let's continue. Now we have AI-driven UI and UI design. AI-driven UI involves interfaces that dynamically adapt their layout, content, and recommendations based on real-time machine learning algorithms. Okay, algorithms analyzing user behavior. Furthermore, AI in UI design refers to algorithms assisting engineers in rapidly generating layouts, color palettes, and component structures through prompt engineering. So AI-driven UI and UI design is just talking about the ability to use AI as a support tool. Now you must understand user interface design is purely concerned with, it's a theoretical concept talking about how you design applications and applications. So we also have tools that are used for designing applications. So AI-driven UI is talking about using AI-based tools that will help you to be able to design your applications much more faster and generate layouts for you, etc. in a very easy way. And some of the tools that we know about is V0 by Vessel, generates React like a window UI component from natural language prompts. Then if you go to Vessel, for instance, you can generate React components by sending it what kind of thing you want to achieve. It will do it. And then we also have UIZ that converts hand-drawn sketches here. So if you're someone that is better off with your hand for drawing, you can use UIZ to convert hand-drawn sketches into editable digital wireframe and high-fidelity mockups in your computer. You just have to snap what you have drawn and upload it to UIZ, and UIZ is going to use it to create the mockups for you. Galileo AI generates complex editable UI screens directly from text description. Galileo AI generates complex editable. So in the case of Galileo AI, it's just like Vessel. You send a prompt and it designs the interface for you, demonstrating generating UI with prompts. As engineers, we can utilize LLMs and AI design generation tools like Vessel or similar platform to rapidly prototype UI structure. Below is an optimized prompt structure to create a foundational e-commerce product card. Now, as I said, we always have our prompt inside our manual. Now, let us see something. Let's go to Vessel. Let's go for Vessel. Sorry. So V0 by Versal AI. Let us see what we have here. I want us to use that prompt and see what it is going to generate. Is it v0.app? So let's see what we have here. So I'm going to just copy this prompt. You can see this is a platform v0.app. It's important you take note of it. It is used for you from simple prompt. You can just get it to create setting. Now we want to create a simple product card. Now look at what will happen. Let's paste it here and let's just send it and see what will happen. Okay. So let's sign up. Let's create an account quickly. I haven't created an account with them before, so they need me to create an account. I always like to do these things live on camera with you so that any challenges that I face, errors that I have, you would also be able to see and have, you will also know that I have gotten these errors and it was experienced in my videos. This is one of the reasons why many at times, many of the platforms I bring here, I always like to do the registration from the very beginning because I know that if I do registration for you from the very beginning, you can understand how I did any of the things that I did. So now let us see. So it's v0.app. Accept and continue. So now let us send the prompts and let us see what we're going to get. What is it going to develop for us? Okay. So this v0.app, as you can see, it's used to help us to be able to create, it's used to help us to create UI and UX components. You can use it to create components, HTML components, React components, etc. So right now that is what we are doing. So now since there's a neutral grayscale, okay, it's thinking, it's developing everything for me. Designing it's basically designing every single thing for us. So let us see what it's going to give us after it is done. Okay, let's see. And I'm very sure we'll soon be done. Okay, so that's for that. So this is one of the reasons. This is why these are some of the AI tools. I would recommend that you use this v0.app very much because it's going to go a long way in helping you. You can use it to design prototypes once you can properly describe. That's why I said our prompt pack is coming very, very soon. You'll soon be seeing our prompt pack. We'll soon be talking about our prompt pack on this channel. And we use Gemini more. By the time we bring our prompts to this channel, you will understand how it's truly, you will be able to use those prompts to use on any AI, although our prompts are targeted specifically at Google Gemini, or you can use it on any AI that you want. And now look at, and just like that, we have a beautiful looking product card just from a few prompts. You see, we didn't need to modify the prompt. Maybe if you don't like the color, you can change that and all of that. But we just have, it has developed for us a product card that looks very, very good and beautiful. Okay. That's what it has just done for us. And that is exactly what we are seeing here. You can see the product card looking right at us. So you see, it has even done, you can actually go ahead and even publish it if you want here, but that's not our target here. I'm just saying that you use this to produce mock-ups for your application. You can also, we look at our point, we say generate a responsive e-commerce product card UI component. The card must include one, a high quality placeholder product image, two, a bold product title, three, a price tag with a discounted price and original strike-through price, four, a five-star rating layout, five, a primary add to cart button in a highly contrasting color and ensure the layout is a clean, modern aesthetic with subtle drop shadows on hover. So that is exactly, we just send that prompt to v0.app and v0.app automatically generates it. And I'm telling you, if you scroll up looking at the whole process, you can actually get all the tools. If I say publish to the web now, we can actually publish it to the web, but we do not want to do that now. So this is just an example of using AI tools. So v0.app is your go-to tool. Figma also has their AI component that you can use to design various components for your application or design the UI and UX of your application. Now, common errors in UI are overcrowding, attempting to place too much information on a single viewport without adequate white space. Now, when you overcrowd your application with options, it becomes an issue. So this is one of the errors that people make in user interface design. Try to avoid overcrowding, putting too many options in one single container, inconsistent alignment, failing to adhere to a strict grid system. resulting in disorganized layouts. You have to adhere to a strict grid system so your website does not look scattered. When they say a website looks scattered, you know what it means. It means maybe this is here, this is there. It doesn't follow a particular pattern. There's no consistency in it. That's where what we're talking about. Then poor contrast, using light text on light backgrounds, failing accessibility standards. Yes, you have to make sure your contrast is okay. So always use dark text on light background or light text on dark backgrounds. Don't use two colors that are too close to each other. Just imagine I use gray. I use this, my code block line is gray in color, the background, and the text is white. That would be very difficult for users to see. So the purpose of contrast is to make what your application eligible to the user without failing accessibility standards. So, and we look chapter now. These are necessary practical classwork. Here we have design a mobile-friendly login screen for a digital commerce application. You must conceptualize the input fields, a primary login button, a forgot password link, and an alternative login with Google link. Now, step one, set up a container, define a central vertical aligned container that occupies 100% to it. You just follow these steps and you'll be able to create that. Okay. So this is with the first thing you need to do is to create a container that defines a central vertically aligned corner that occupies 100% of the mobile viewport. So we could actually quickly follow this process and do that quickly, but it may take our time. But let's try. Let's do that. Okay. Notepad++. So we have that. So basically, we can actually, for starters, you can actually copy this whole thing and take it to maybe Gemini to give you something. This will, I love to use Gemini a lot. So, we're dealing with AI now. Let's just take it to Gemini to save our time to do something. But this is AI driven. The name of this module that we're dealing with is AI driven UI/UX design. So we don't expect you to do perfect designs by yourself directly, but we expect you to utilize AI very, very well to achieve the desired results. Okay, so let's send it. Let us see what will come out here. So I could quickly just, let's create a folder in our XAMPP. I'm using AI because I want to save time seriously so that we don't make this video too long and boring. But I want us to at least see what AI can help us do in UI/UX design. And at this point, I'm still just doing a mock-up. I'm not doing a main application. The new folder, and I can call it ON class. Okay, ON class. And of course, as usual, I always create my folders, CSS folder, CSS, JS, JS, and of course, the unbeatable IMGs folder. Yeah, please. So I always create all of this for myself, and because I don't want to, I look at every class as a project of its own. So this ON class, I have CSS, I have JS, and I can rename this is the folder I wanted to make. I'll rename it to IMGs. Yeah, I know it's quite stressful creating this every time, but on the long run, if you get used to it, you'll be happy you did. I save as. So ON class, save it as my index HTML. HTML, hypertext markup language, save. And I can go over here. I'll copy my HTML code first. paste here. Okay. Then we go down further. Let's get our CSS code. Let's scroll down. Let's get our okay. Our CSS is mixed up in it, so we are going to separate the CSS. Like I told you, I'm all for separating of consigns. It's not a good idea to combine HTML and CSS in the same document. I'm never going to subscribe to that. Let us see. I'm going to take this CSS or the CSS code to a separate place. X. You can see how much code have saved by save as. I'm going to go to here and say style.css. Okay. Cascading style sheets. We save it. And I'll paste all of that CSS code inside here. I'm going to come to my HTML and, in place of this style tag, I'm going to have my link tag, link type equal to text slash CSS, href is equal to CSS slash styles, CSS slash style.css. Yeah, because of how it's saved. And then I'm going to close it like this and then save. So I could quickly go here after a proper linkage and I can launch this in my browser and you can see exactly what we have just achieved. So this is exactly the job of this particular of this. So you can see how we have achieved this. We just sent the prompt and we have designed how our login page. This is a standard classical login page that anybody can take. Okay. And this is just it. If you can replace the logo here with any logo you want to use, but then this is just it. Okay. Yeah, I hope you enjoyed that particular section. That was a wonderful one that came from us. I really enjoyed that section. At least we got to understand the principles of user interface. You can say your application can actually be very wonderful, but if your application is powerful and the user interface is wrong, that application cannot stand. And now that we know that, now let us next we are going to be looking at now we have been able to look at user interface deeply, and we need to take a look at user experience, how users feel about your application beyond the looks of your application, beyond how beautiful your application is, which is what user interface is concerned about, beyond the clarity. How do users feel whenever they find themselves on your applications? Is it a too much for them? Do they use your application because they must use it? Or if your application was operating in a sector that wasn't compulsory, will people still use your application? These are some of the things we're going to be looking at next section. Have a lovely day. I still remain your favorite instructor, Oluchukwumbi Prince, the senior ICT instructor, and you are still watching Exo Tech Mastery. You don't want to miss us.